Diwali's over and we're trying to figure out how big a pataka it was. What kind of firecrackers did we see? And we've been getting, entrepreneurs and startups to talk about this. Today, I'm going to be having CarDekho on my show. We've been hearing about such a big slowdown when it comes to the auto sales. People are just not buying cars, two-wheeler sales slump, automakers don't know what to do. But is the second-hand market doing much better than the primary market? Did we see some patakas, at least when it comes to the first-hand sales as well? Let me go across to the co-founder of CarDekho to talk a lot more about this. Amit Jain joining us here on Skype. Amit, thanks so much for joining us here on Startup Central. Happy Diwali from the entire team at Startup Central. Was it a pataka for festival season for CarDekho? Good business, bad business, slow business?
I think highest ever month is what we clocked in October. So it's yet to close, and we are already at the peak as far as October is concerned. So a lot of recovery we saw in terms of auto market, both in new and used. And I think all dealers should be, most of the dealers should be very happy with the kind of market we saw in October after a good lull for a while.
So when you say you have peaked in October, do you mean the peak for this calendar year or do you mean since your inception?
I'm saying since inception, we are a very fast growing company. Companies like us are growing at 80 or 90, 100%. And given the business line you pick, we are also growing 200-300%, right? So, in all fairness, we are seeing astronomical growth in our numbers because we have a lot of land grab to still happen. Like in used cars, we have seen an insane amount of traffic growth, almost 60% increase in our traffic on used car section versus last year same time. So clearly, we see a very big increased demand on used cars. Then we are seeing a 15-20% growth on new car itself versus last year. And similarly in bikes also we are seeing a similar trend. So very clearly, I mean, we are pretty happy with the trends we are seeing and how audiences are turning online. Cars we are already very heavily penetrated. Bikes is something that we are surprised with the kind of growth we have been seeing. I think a lot of mobile internet penetration is helping us grow the bike segment clearly.
I want to get this straight. 15 to 20% growth you have seen in new car sales this festive season. Have I got that right?
Yes, you got that right.
And used cars?
And used cars we're seeing around a 50% hike on if we were to talk about sales on our platform. I mean,
50%. Yeah, obviously 50%, 50.
Yeah.
So then I have to ask you, if you're seeing 20% growth in new car sales, 50% growth on your platform for used car sales, two-wheeler business has surprised you, where is the slowdown?
Look, I think the pockets have got formed, which kind of impacts the industry, right? When I speak about growth, I look at it from passenger vehicle segment and not the fleet segment. A lot of fleet is not obviously getting manufactured now; it's already over supplied, which means that in all fairness, 10% of that volume that used to go to fleet suppliers, we never got impacted because of fleet suppliers stopping because those buyers in any case never researched with us. Uh, I think that probably has an impact. Secondly, I think there had been a lull, obviously, and a lot of demand got aggregated to October, and a lot of cars got actually delivered in October. If you realize, a lot of new brand, new nameplates had have been having a great season, right? All the connected cars that have come up, and they all are on waiting, right? A lot of deliveries happen this season, so you'll see pretty good numbers being reported on sales by these new manufacturers who have come in with connected cars. So what I'm just trying to explain is that while the traffic is there, while the demand is there, it has just shifted from say some popular makes models to some new ones which are more value for money probably from a consumer perspective. And this October, a lot of them got delivered as well. So you'll see definitely a a great number being reported by all these new ones for sure. And for overall as the industry, September, June, July, August, September, October is going to be at least a 15-20% up for most of them as they start reporting numbers.
Okay, so you won't take names, but it's kind of obvious. You're talking about MG, you're talking about Kia, you're talking about the new Hyundai. When we're talking about connected cars, we all know about the weight. A lot of them had a whole lot of Shosha also around the first delivery. I think it happened in Hyderabad for MG Motor, if I'm not mistaken. But having said that, it's coming at the cost of what? Could it be the largest car maker in the country? Maruti still has a 51% market share. You're seeing some of the largest automakers still talk about how bad the slowdown is. So are you basically saying that if you have a connected car, you'll do well?
So it's I would say that if you have a good value for money to the consumer, you do well. Now for the same bang for the buck, you are getting something more. So it's not just connected car; it could be anything that basically catches consumer attention on convenience, right? So that probably is the case here, and I'm pretty sure all manufacturers will be working on their technology piece to get that right. But right now, every season has a flavor, and right now I can tell you that the brands you are talking about are definitely much awaited, and a lot of deliveries did happen for these brands this season, and they're still on so much waiting, even after all the deliveries they made in October. So definitely, if it was like a real slowdown, these brands also would not have sold.
Correct. So you're basically saying that if you've got new technology at a good price, you're going to sell the big message that is going out. Amit, if I could also, you have fantastic data, um, and in all the cities that you're in, your platform, etc. Can you tell us, is it the urban cities, the metros that are continuing to do well, or are you seeing traction in the smaller towns too?
Split the question into different segments. So for new cars, we have seen larger growth happening from tier 2, tier 3 versus metros. And for used cars, we have seen the complete reverse. We have seen larger growth happening from metros. So we can clearly see that used cars are actually being researched more on our platform at least on metros versus new cars as a growth percentage. I'm saying absolute number obviously will be relatively different, but from a growth perspective, if you were to ask year on year, we are seeing clearly the growth has come from metros and used cars versus on new cars. We are seeing a larger growth coming from your tier 2 and tier 3 towns, semi-urban and rural areas.
That's a very interesting trend that you're talking about because, one would have imagined it to be the reverse, that it's in the big metros, you would see the new car sales, and in the small towns is where you would see the used car sales, but it's actually the reverse.
Yeah, and that's what we are observing on a platform, which also caught us by surprise. Thank you. And that's how the data looks like.
But then when they're buying these used cars in the metros, uh, have you been able to do any analytics of what kind of cars these are?
So, look, we have done a lot of segmentation and dissection on the data. I can't hear you, I guess. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah,
What
I can hear you. Carry on.
what I'm saying is, look, still, if I were to talk about the tier 2 and 3 in terms of brand that basically catches the eye, obviously happens to be already a popular leader if you were to talk about absolute. But if you talk from a growth perspective, you're seeing the new ones also, catching the eye now. In the tier 2, at least, I can say surely that all tier 2 is very well covered by these new brands. And a lot of new car growth that we are seeing, at least on a platform, is stemming up from these new models that I was speaking about. And it's gonna come at cost somebody obviously in the same segment. It's not gonna come at no cost, right? Somebody's gonna segment is has grown maybe 5-10%, but the demand has shifted significantly. So you'll see some interesting numbers being reported very soon by all OEM. But for everybody, I think it was a much better season than what we had just gone through, right? So if you were to ask me in September and October, we saw similar amount of traffic. Nothing spiked up between September to October. But if I do October this year to October last year, it was a 15%, 20% spike on the new car business, new car traffic, I mean. September, basically the car buying cycle is a little larger, longer. So people start researching 2 months before on a platform. So that's the reason we kind of saw stable demand. All the October buyers are actually already present, and top funnel did not significantly increase for November.
They were
That's
making up
how
their mind. They were basically making up their mind and they converted during the festive season, basically in a nutshell.
median is 59 days on our platform.
Okay,
So half people come before 59 days. Imagine the journey that they do with our platform before they buy a car.
I am going to put you in a spot and you have to tell us this and you have to tell the viewers of Startup Central and ET Now this. What are the top sellers on CarDekho at the moment?
Oh, that's a question that probably I should answer or not. I'm thinking, but of course, from a data perspective, what we are seeing on CarDekho, Maruti as a brand happens to be the biggest research brand. Obviously, it has the largest market share. Swift Wagon are definitely the most researched cars, frankly, on a platform. If you were to talk about absolute data, and they have been market leaders for a while also. It's at least on our platform, and they also belong to a different segment than the new cars I've been talking about.
And for two-wheelers?
But for two-wheelers, I think Hero has done well, and Honda. And look, all these are very nearby in terms of online traffic. Also, we in two-wheelers, I would say, represent a different fraternity too, because we are primarily online. Our penetration, if 100 people buy a car in India, 80 will go through our platform. But in bikes, it's not that penetrated. If 100 people buy a bike, only 40 go through our platform. So large rural representation really does not research bikes online yet, but cars everybody does. So I'm very authoritative when it comes to the car data. On bikes data, I usually would give it with a disclaimer that we do not capture real rural demand yet because the people have not come online. All the people have not come online. Only 40% are online for buying bikes. So when I give an answer, it is actually not reflective of the India, but the online India that is on bikes, right?
Okay, so there you go. So that's the trends that we've seen this festive season. There's one more startup telling you it's been a pataka for Diwali season. You've seen some phenomenal growth in new car sales as well as used car sales. And in fact, it's the metros where they're buying used car sales. I really thought it would have been the reverse. Amit Jain, thanks so much for joining us here and being quite candid with Consumer Insights. I know usually you wouldn't want to name all those brands, but thanks a lot for being candid.
You do put everybody in a spot.